chapter 551 of the One Piece manga, as the news of Ace and being Roger's biological son echoes throughout the entire world, within just a few moments afterwards, the entirety of the Whitebeard pirates pull up to Marineford seeking to save their captured family, even if it means throwing down with the forces of the Marines at their own headquarters. Marineford is without question one of the best arcs in the story, but due to recent events shown in the Gods Valley flashback, I've come to the honest conclusion that the Whitebeard pirates truly never stood a chance if you really sit down and think about all the canon material we have to work with between now and the final saga and back then. I'm going to break things down in detail why, in an isolated clash of the two forces, the Whitebeard pirates were never going to leave that island. If you like what you see, then consider checking out the other videos I have on the channel and subscribe for more in the future. Now let's go ahead and lay out the rules for this matchup. So as I said just a moment ago, we're treating this as an isolated incident and just focusing on the Marines and the Whitebeard pirates on their own. So the rules are as follows. Rule number 1, absolutely no outside interference whatsoever. That means no warlords for the Marines. We're just going to assume that for this hypothetical, they all said to handle your business, y'all were going to abolish our system anyway. Luffy and his forces from Impel Down will also not be showing up to help the Whitebeard pirates free Ace. We're going to assume Magellan finished the job and killed everyone who tried to escape Impel Down. That also means no Blackbeard pirates pulling up as well. And finally, Kaido's crying ass is staying his butt in Wano, and Shanks is getting drunk in Elbath for all we know. Neither of them will play factors in this battle. Rule number 2, all characters on both sides are 100% locked in and are doing everything in their power to achieve their goals. That means in this hypothetical, Garp is not letting his feelings sway him and is doing his part in stopping the Whitebeard pirates from saving Ace, and Squard's dumbass is not going to let a Navy admiral trick him into stabbing his own captain like a moron. I think these rules are pretty straightforward to understand and will help get my point across for this matchup. Now let's go ahead and jump into our first section of the breakdown. I know. A lot of y'all do not like the Marines for various reasons, and I can definitely understand where y'all are coming from on certain topics, but liking them or not isn't what we're here for. It's 2025. Some of y'all need to accept the fact that the Marines were holding back. I'm not talking about the lower ranked and weaker ones. I'm talking about the actual top tiers, the OG Admirals and Garp and Sengoku. Again, this isn't about liking them. You cannot look me in the eyes and tell me with a straight face after reading Egghead that Kizaru was going all out on Marineford. My jaw hit the floor seeing this man whip out clones for the first time. Like, what do you mean? Like, where was this during the war? And also, when it comes to speed, Kizaru's ceiling is absurd considering he effortlessly dog-walked Snake Man Luffy. Someone so fast, Hybrid Kaido needed to use Future Sight just to counter the attacks landing on him. Kizaru the entire war barely did anything if we're being honest. All he did was just shoot at people and troll Whitebeard when he engaged him in battle. He didn't even bother using his lightsaber the entire war. When we look over at Aokiji and Garp, it's even crazier because of what we witnessed during their battle at Hachidosu. First off, unlike when Marineford was first being released, we have 100% confirmation now that Garp is a Conqueror's Haki user, something that was only revealed after Oda chose to disclose the information. We know that Garp had several Conqueror's Haki attacks with varying ranges, giant AoE attacks like Galaxy Impact as well as Galaxy Divide, and more contained attacks such as Blue Hole, and more recently, Meteor Fist when he clashed with Roger in the past. Aokiji was also not going all out due to us seeing him neg a bunch of Blackbeard commanders with little difficulty as Kuzan, but also being capable of clashing with Garp as well. Let me be very clear that the next part I'm going to say about Aokiji is not officially confirmed and is 100% speculative, so please do not misinterpret my words. But in my opinion, due to the recent chapter of 1161, I think it's a pretty strong possibility that Aokiji is a Conqueror's Haki user as well. Like, I'm sorry, but I feel like we're splitting hairs here if you accept that the clash and explosion between Roger and Whitebeard at Gods Valley is a Conqueror's clash, but the clash between Garp and Kuzan at Hachinosu, which looks the exact same, is just armament Haki. There isn't a single clash of armament Haki in the story that looks like these two clashes at the time of recording. Also, this is just Conqueror's Haki from Whitebeard because when he infuses his quakes into his attacks, there's a clear bubble surrounding the blade of his staff, which is not seen during the clash with Roger. Like I said, not 100% confirmed, but come on, like some people were saying the exact same thing about Garp before it was revealed that he was a Conqueror. Regardless, at best, Kuzan is a Conqueror, and at worst, he has armament Haki strong enough to clash against Garp's Conqueror's Haki. Garp's Vivi card states he was moving with no hesitation against Kuzan and literally lectures Kuzan about wavering and being soft in their battle. I have no reason to believe that Garp, the first hero of the Marines, would hold back on Kuzan while he's doing everything he can to protect the future of the Marines. For the sake of the discussion, we're going with the latter and assuming Aokiji isn't a Conqueror, but I hope you see where I'm coming from. and vice versa goes to the Fleet Admiral and future Fleet Admiral Sengoku and Akainu. For Akainu, I think it's pretty obvious and well accepted that he is slightly stronger than Aokiji, seeing it took him 10 days of non-stop fighting to successfully defeat his opponent, and if Kuzan gets revealed as a conqueror, then you bet your ass Akainu is too. But again, for the sake of the breakdown, we're assuming he is not, but 100% has relative haki to Aokiji. In my opinion, it just makes no sense to me why the people who are candidates to become Fleet Admirals wouldn't have the strong wills of conquerors. Also, we must look at the fact that Akainu twice mentioned how he was concerned about Whitebeard tearing apart Marineford during their battle. That is canon whether you like it or not. If you're cool with Whitebeard, Big Mom, and a young Kaido at God's Valley saying they only ran from Garp because fighting him would take forever and they're running out of time, then you'll accept that Akainu is trying to limit the destruction at Marineford as much as he can. And when it comes to Sengoku, not only was he revealed to be a conqueror over a decade before Garp, but for the entirety of his screen time, he is literally always portrayed as relative to Garp. Roger post God's Valley stating that the Navy should send either Garp or Sengoku after him should be the nail in the coffin. If you think Sengoku is just a pre-time skip Luffy rival because he didn't one-shot him, I genuinely do not care. Also, just like Akainu, Sengoku also states his concerns about Blackbeard attempting to sink Marineford after he slammed him and his crew with one of his shockwaves. I doubt he was using the full extent of his strength when the island was already in tatters at this point, post Whitebeard's enraged Quake Fist against Akainu, and post Blackbeard's initial attack after regaining the Quake Fruit. Now that we laid out the canon material we have about the top tier Marines and have a better understanding of their strength compared to the information we had during Marineford's release, let's switch things over to the Whitebeard pirates. Now when we look at this battle, I need y'all to understand just how outgunned the Whitebeard pirates are. All we have to do is look at their best fighters and it's genuinely slim pickings. Like, not even trying to downplay them, let's look at the facts. Whitebeard is quite literally dying. Bro took himself off light support before they entered Marineford. Yeah, in this scenario, Squard wasn't dumb enough to stab his own captain, but two things. One is that Squard sucks, and given the sheer amount of damage Whitebeard sustained before dying, him getting stabbed one less time by his dumbass of a son is not gonna really change much. And two is that Marco himself states that regardless of if he was caught off guard or not, Whitebeard should have been able to dodge the strike, highlighting how bad his health really was. Like the dude was literally having a heart attack and coughing up blood mid-battle. He is in terrible condition. His strongest soldiers are Marco, Jozu, and Vista. Now Marco is solid. Without a doubt, he is low-key the MVP of the Whitebeard pirates during Marineford with the amount of support he was doing for the entire battle, but he's not a top tier. Marco has amazing defense, but his offense doesn't cut it when actual top tiers are involved. He did 0 damage to Kizaru, he kicked Aokiji away from Luffy, but that barely did anything to him. At best, Marco going full throttle with his regeneration and flames is able to temporarily hold off a pissed off Akainu, but all he could do was slow him down. Marco has no stopping power. Next is Jozu, and yeah, it's cool that you blocked a nameless slash for Mihawk that was literally thrown out just to test the waters. Let's be so serious, everyone. In the manga that is One Piece, we all know there's a giant difference between named and unnamed attacks. Zoro on multiple occasions has thrown out nameless slashes as well. And also with Jozu, the only solid strike he got on Aokiji was sneaking him while Aokiji was fully engaged with Whitebeard. He ended up getting bodied afterwards, not to mention that his strikes aren't even all that if he couldn't knock out pre-time skip Crocodile. Bro got humiliated by Dofi, literally couldn't break out of his strings, while Dofi and Croc had a whole conversation with each other while Dofi was using him as a chair. Jozu is kind of booty, like what more can I really say? And next is Vista, and if you actually think that Mihawk was going all out facing him in 2025, that's on you. Not only was Mihawk thinking about Luffy mid-battle against him, but if you think Zoro's angle is genuinely struggling with Vista, power to you. Marco and Vista together with a combo attack couldn't damage Akainu because he perceived it with his better observation haki. That's it. That's all Vista has to his name. It's that bad. So now let's start dissecting the battle at Marineford in this isolated scenario. So Marineford kicks off just like it originally did, with Aokiji freezing the giant tsunami Whitebeard launch. The fodder on both sides begin to engage with each other. There's no Mihawk here, so Jozu hasn't done anything, but Marco and Kizaru should still play out like normal. But here's the thing though, Kizaru in a setting like this is extremely dangerous. Do you know how much fodder he's taking out with them clones, bro? Like, Oars is getting slaughtered as soon as he tries to go for Ace. Kizaru is lighting his ass up. Kizaru was canonically on the battlefield when Luffy joined the war, so I'm not exaggerating when I say that he's going to town on so many people. Him and his clones are not something that can just be ignored. The only one who could reasonably combat him would be Marco since he could fly, but like I said earlier, Marco has no stopping power. There is nothing in Marco's arsenal that is reasonably putting down Kizaru when he got slammed with Gear 5 Luffy's White Star gun and got up just to give him food later. You can say that Marco's regeneration will keep him in the fight longer than most, but according to the official description of Marco's fruit that was revealed in One Piece Magazine Volume 20, damage from hockey attacks will last longer. In a battle of attrition, Marco is simply not going to last. Kizaru's attacking with his clones will just add more fuel to the fire. The odds are incredibly stacked against Marco, and what's worse is that Kizaru will likely still be very active after defeating him. Let's remember that Marco the entire war was zipping around the battlefield offering support at multiple points. The only time he ever fully invested his time into stopping a single individual was against Akainu. Even if you think that Marco can somehow get up from the butt whooping he just received from Kizaru, just remember that Marco canonically goes after Ace and gets slammed to the ground by a basic hook from Garp. But in this scenario, Garp is not holding back and has several options at his disposal. If a regular hook was able to hurt Marco and knock him out of the sky, a galaxy divide or a blue hole is doing significant damage. Marco isn't invincible. He has a limit to how much damage he can sustain. Marco falling would likely stir the remaining forces into action due to the urgency of the situation. Whitebeard seeing his best man fall is getting him off the ship immediately. Let's say that Aokiji and Whitebeard engage in a similar manner and Jozu butts his head in like before. Jozu getting low dipped by Aokiji is canon to the story. Like there's not much Jozu was going to ever be able to do. He can't overcome Aokiji's ice and he straight up loses in a brawl against Aokiji. All Jozu canonically does is temporarily slow him down. Whitebeard progresses onward to fight Akainu, and again, the same scenario plays out. It's simply impossible to ignore Whitebeard's condition. He's having a heart attack mid-battle and he's getting a hole blasted through his chest. And that honestly leaves Vista, and he's kind of screwed from here on out. Literally all the major opposition on the battlefield can take him out. If he tries to help Whitebeard, Akainu is nearby. If he tries to help support Marco, Kizaru is nearby. If he tries to help Jozu, Aokiji is nearby. If he goes to get Ace and tries to free him, Garp and Sengoku are nearby. Jozu can't do anything against any of these guys. Even if he were to rally a bunch of forces, all the Marine top tiers have methods of taking out a bunch of fodder. Without Luffy and his allied forces on the battlefield, there was virtually no way for Ace to be free. The Whitebeard pirates had nothing. With the Marines' home court advantage, the Whitebeard pirates were literally boxed in and had many of their ships destroyed during the battle. Any of the three main commanders falling leads to an automatic shift in power, because any of the admirals can either go and support each other or just start clearing out the fodder. Whitebeard can tilt the island as much as he wants. As long as Ace is held captive, he's not sinking Marineford. Whitebeard couldn't land a single attack on Akainu when they first engaged each other. The only time he landed an attack on Akainu was when he wasn't paying attention to him because he had his full attention on taking out Luffy. And even after taking those two enraged Quake Fists, Akainu proceeded to get up and fight all the remaining Whitebeard pirates. The Whitebeard pirates were dead to rights. Let's say you personally don't agree with my interpretation of things, you're free to feel however you like about the situation and the events that play out. But again, let's look at the clear facts. Whitebeard and his strongest soldiers don't have the firepower to take out the top tier Marines. Jozu is canonically an Aokiji victim and couldn't get past Dofi's strings. Marco canonically sustained heavy damage from Kizaru's lasers without Sea Prism Stone being on him. If he goes after Ace, he has no answer to handling Garp's raw strength. Vista with Marco's help couldn't do anything against Akainu together. None of the other Whitebeard pirates matter. Izo, RIP, doesn't matter. Squad's dumbass doesn't matter. The dude with the ugly ball sack chin doesn't matter. Dreadhead who couldn't hurt Kizaru doesn't matter. They were screwed. Like I said earlier, I'm not even trying to downplay the Whitebeard pirates. The fact is that the top tier Marines were not using the best of their kits. If you disagree, that's fine, but before you start typing in the comments, actually explain to me how the Whitebeard pirates get the W, or how Marco, Jozu, or Vista are taking down any of the admirals. You could rearrange the lineup however you like, but the conclusion genuinely doesn't change given the canon feats of all the characters. And you wanna know what makes things worse? The fact is, no matter how you slice it, Sengoku is still fresh in the back row on the off chance anything crazy happens and he needs to step in himself. Now you essentially have a guy relative to Garp on the battlefield who is completely fresh. The odds keep getting worse for the Whitebeard pirates no matter how you slice it. I appreciate everyone who stayed to the end. Let me know what you guys think of the breakdown. The last chapter really inspired me to make this video because it really highlighted to me how stacked the Marines are as an organization. Like the canon strength of these guys are no joke, and we're likely going to see Akainu and Kuzan pop off during the final saga since they are canonically going to play important roles into fighting the One Piece. If you like what you see, then please consider subscribing and check out the other videos I have on the channel. I hope you all have a great day and please stay safe.